Good evening, friends. I hope you're well. Do you know what's really nice is that at the start of every single show, many of you comment on there now saying, "Evening all, hope everyone's well and had a good week," which is nice. It's built up like a little community here, haven't we? A little community, which is lovely. Absolutely lovely. So good evening, everyone. I hope you are well. It's 7:02 p.m. Running a few minutes late, but you'll have to let me off with that one. I've got my old Portsmouth Independent Party mug that I'm drinking my coffee from tonight. I know it's reversed before anyone says. It's not that the text is back to front. But yeah, that's from the back of the cupboard. So I hope everyone's well. And as always, please do share this live stream. I always say that at the start, but please do share it, like it, blah, 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 blah. And for everyone watching as well, if you do like it, just click on the like button or the love button, whatever, the emoji button. It helps boost the post naturally as well, organically, which is really, really good. Quite a simple thing to do. Just click the like button and it helps. But yeah, so we've got a lot to talk about tonight, as always. So let's get cracking. First of all, I said last week I'm going to start doing YouTube a bit more seriously and uploading stuff on YouTube, because I do have a lot of content that I don't put on YouTube. So there's a little shameless plug for the YouTube channel. Just at George Madgwick. Just go and subscribe to me on YouTube, and I'll upload these shows every single week onto YouTube, so you can play them back or watch them back, or if you've missed anything, you can always watch back and see what I've said. Or if you want to, if you're watching here tonight, because we always know that there is some secret lefties watching this show, and we always know that they're watching. We had a few of them watching last week actually, and they like screen recording what I say, so you don't have to worry about that now, guys. You can go onto my YouTube the day after the show, and I'll upload it onto the YouTube channels afterwards. So there we go. My dogs are just eating food, so hopefully that means they won't be bothering me during tonight's show. And I haven't had takeaway or any food before tonight's show. I just had to grab a few Maltesers and I don't really like Maltesers, but I had to grab a few Maltesers because I am starving. Hank Marvin. And my partner came home with a bag of food for herself, but nothing for moi, nothing for me. So I guess I'll have to get a takeaway. So we can do our back to, if those of you who don't watch this usually, by the way, I don't know, you're probably thinking, why is he mentioning takeaways? And the reason I mention takeaways is because usually every week I get a takeaway after the show, and we have a guess on where to go, or people that are watching suggest where I should go for a takeaway. But we'll do that this week. My options are open. I'll have an Indian, a Chinese, a pizza, a kebab. I'll have anything this week. I'm not really fussed. So yeah, by all means, start chucking your suggestions in. But as we start the show, let's address the whole name and shame incident that's been going on this week. Now, you may remember in last week's show, I stated that my belief is that the person behind the name and shame account, Portsmouth Name and Shame, which is a very poisonous, toxic account run by an egotist, in my opinion. But I said last week that I believe, or I've got grounds to believe that the person running that name and shame account anonymously is a convicted criminal. That's what I said. And he obviously saw that and got very upset and started posting about me and threatening me with legal lawsuits and stuff. But, you know, and he's told me that he wants me to apologize and blah, 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 which I'm not going to do, because he says, I've defamed him, but you can't defame someone that's anonymous. It's impossible. You can't do it. And I welcome him to come forward. And look, if he comes forward and tells me his actual real identity, which I've said that I'll sign an NDA to disclose if he wants to disclose his identity to me, then if I've got it wrong, I'll apologize. But the evidence that I've seen at the moment from a couple of people shows me that he potentially is a criminal. So that's why I said it. And also, why would you be anonymous, you know? But anyway, just for fact checking, he did send me an email earlier this week, along with CCing in Nigel Farage, which is a strange move to do, along with the Reform Party general email address, and he put a complaint in against me. And then I said to him, look, please, by all means, sue me, because that means I'll have to know who you are to sue me, which is true. So he sent me this letter here. Have a little look at this letter. This is the letter he sent me, and I haven't got my glasses. I have got my glasses on, but it's still very small. He put, my name appears at the top of this email, which, by the way, was a fake name. I checked it out. It doesn't exist. He's lying again. He didn't disclose his real name to me. And he said, you know, my page name is Shane Portsmouth, as you alleged, blah, 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 blah. But in that paragraph, he says that he flipped the post to shame the shamer. You know, these are really dangerous posts. And he said, you know, I'm not anonymous. You have my name, so yes, I can bring a claim against you for defamation. And since you have now admitted it's what you've done, you should probably have the case. Now, I did email him. The next paragraph at the bottom is relevant, because I emailed him and said that I will do a Norwich order on him. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a high court order that goes. It's very expensive to do. Don't get me wrong; it's very expensive, but it's a high court order that goes to the King's Bench in London, and they force Meta to reveal the identity of the person behind the page. It isn't cheap in any way, shape, or form, but and it's quite complex. It's not an easy thing to do, and but yeah, so that's what I said I would do, because I think it's important. And if the judge grants it, then they will provide me the person's IP address, any telephone numbers connected with it, anything at all. So he's basically responded saying an MPO will be costly for you, as the applicant will be responsible for all the associated cost. And I do believe the court will grant such a request. I'd also, because yeah, he's got a defamation case against me. Now, just because he says he's got a defamation case against me, he hasn't. You have actually got to provide your identity and file a case of defamation. So he hasn't actually got a defamation case against me. All he's done is send me an email. So I replied back to him, and I have blanked out the name because the name isn't real and I don't want anybody else to get in trouble. I just replied back to him saying, without prejudice, hello, so-and-so isn't your name, and I look forward to the court case. I'm welcome to it. This will be fun. And I've given them an address to send the paperwork to, and we'll see. But as I say, I think because obviously he's stated that he is going to sue me now for defamation, which I really do look forward to, because obviously that page is toxic. I'm not really going to say any more about it, because, as I say, it's I'll leave it in his hands now. He's decided that he wants to try and sue me. Apparently, he's gone to seek legal advice. That's what he said, that he's gone to a solicitor to seek legal advice. I've given him the address to file the paperwork. Let's give it a week or two and see what he does, shall we? You know, and we'll go from there. So until that point, unless he obviously starts any crap online, or he says anything, or he does anything stupid, then I'll just leave it there for now, and I'll wait for a couple of weeks to see the paperwork comes through, and we'll go from there. But it should be exciting, because, say, you can't defame somebody that doesn't exist. So I do look forward to that. Very much indeed. And I noticed someone comment before saying, you know, why does he have to get legal advice? Because I am legally trained. I know a lot of people will always say that. And by legally trained, I mean I've got a qualification in law. I studied it and I passed it. But it's funny because people always say, well, why does he need to get advice, legal advice? Well, when you study law, for any of you that have studied law out there, you'll know that you have to study a basic generalization of law. So, you know, tort law, for example, contract law, so on and so forth. You used to have to do European law as well, which is really annoying. So you learn the basics of everything, and then you go into a specialist subject. So you start doing specialisms. So my specialisms is contract law, commercial contract law to be precise, and also consumer law. So consumer law is my specialist. So when we're talking about Norwich orders and MPOs and disclosure orders with the King's Bench, I know how the basic stuff is, but way over my head. So you have to get proper solicitors, and it's really good because we've got a lot of supporters. So that's what's going on with the name and shame page. We'll see what they do and what they say, and we'll keep you updated because that should be an interesting one. Anyway, and I'll keep the comments on screen, so always feel free to comment. I'll do questions at the end of the show. I know if you said any idea about reform stance of NHS, I'll happily answer that. We'll do questions at the end of the show just to keep the show moving. But first, I was on Talk TV just a couple of nights ago now, and I just want to show you a little interview, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. The first thing I was ever told when I got elected a councillor, I wanted a new community hub, not a big one, a small one. And I knew somebody that kind of like built these projects and stuff. And I got like a private quote. I can't remember what it is now. And I went to the council and said, look, this is what I want to do. And they said, oh, it'd be this price. And I said, that's way too expensive. 4 or 5 times the amount that I could get it for. And they said, no, with councils, you always chuck a 0 on the end. That's what they always do. And that's what I was literally told. You know, within my first couple of weeks of being a councillor, always chuck a 0 on the end. You know, because
100%.
they're robbing us blind.
Yeah.
1,000%.
I'm going to say, when I've been in the corporate space, we've had public contracts and things. You do the same thing. You whack a 0 on because nobody is actually checking the numbers. Like, you know, they just sign anything because it's not their money.
And we wonder why Birmingham City Council went.
So yeah, that was my interview on Talk TV. It was a long interview, so I didn't want to put. I think I was on there for 45 minutes. It was quite a long interview. But yeah, we're talking about council wastage, and it's true. When I first started at council, I couldn't believe the things it cost, and one of the things was a light bulb. Now, for those of you that comments, guess how much? And I can't comment on what it is now, because I know they did change it. But back when I got elected in 2021, have a guess in the comments how much you think it costs to change a light bulb. Just that, change a light bulb. So, say for example, there's let's look at examples. So a social housing block of flats, and as you walk in the welcome lobby, the light bulb's gone. How much does it cost to change that light bulb? How much it costs? That's the question I got for you. And while you're answering that, because obviously there's a little bit of a delay on here if people didn't realize, while you're answering that, I will absolutely 1 second, where is it? We'll also talk about this little story that come up this week, and it's old Mr. Nigel Farage and the BBC. Apparently have been involved in another scandal where BBC makeup artists used bodily fluids when giving makeup to Nigel Farage. Yeah, bodily fluids for Nigel Farage. So, you know, spit, urine, whatever else you could possibly think of. And apparently they mixed that in with the makeup and put makeup on his face. That's what BBC have been involved in again now. Whether it's true or not, who knows? But that's the accusation. And then obviously, shortly in the show as well, we all know what's coming up. It's our Richard of the Week award. So this is an award every single week for someone that said or done something stupid. It was a good week last week. We had a big competition, didn't we, last week? And yeah, it's we got another week this week. We've got 3 competitors this week. And all local, I think. Are they all local? Let me just check. They are local, yep. All 3 Richard of the Week nominees this week are local related. So we can go through them shortly because, as I say, I know most of you love the Richard of the Week award. And for those of you that are watching that don't know what that is, every single week I highlight a stupid comment or a stupid thing that's been done by somebody or a group of people. And then you guys that are watching the show get to vote on who you think is the Richard of the Week. Simple as that. And obviously Richard stands for something else, doesn't it? It's an abbreviation. So Richard of the Week award. So anyway, going back to this whole light bulb scenario, what do you think it costs to change a light bulb? So we've had a few guesses here. A singular light bulb, we've had 250 quid, £1,000, £80, £50, 150, 130, 300. Someone's asking me very specific questions: 2D filter or LED, service provider or estate warden. Don't know, Gavin. The exact example I can give you on this one, the exact example is social housing, a joint flat, and it's a welcome lobby in the flat, light bulb in a welcome lobby. So that's the example I can give you. I'm sure there's many different lights, but that's the example I can give you. And this was from back in 2021. So I don't know what it costs now, 4 years on, probably more, but I don't know, it could be less. But yeah, so I'll tell you now, changing a light bulb in the council cost £120 roughly back then. I couldn't believe it when somebody told me that. And there'll be like a contractor that goes out to change, 20 light bulbs a day. So there'll be £2,500 a day of light bulbs being changed for 20 light bulbs. It's absolutely crazy. It's such huge figures. And we have a lot of council wastage, a lot of money that just goes out for no real reason. It just goes out and out. And I always give this example, and some of you would have heard this before. However, we had I was walking through the lobby one day of the council building. We've got 5 floors in the council building. Well, technically 6, but 5 floors plus the ground floor. And I walked out of my office one day and there was this pod, it's maybe 2.5 meters high and a little kind of square. And somebody said, what is that? Like, where has that come from? They said, oh, it's a soundproof pod in case anybody needs to have private conversations, private chats. And they can go in the pod with their laptop and phone, lock themselves in, and it's soundproof. It keeps it all private. And I thought, why is anybody having private conversations in the middle of a council building anyway? I mean, I don't know why you're having private conversations, but anyway. And I got to the next floor, and there was one on the next floor, and there's one on the next floor, one on the next floor. I walked on the corridor, and there's one there, one there. There must have been about 15. There could have been 20, 25. I don't know, but there was at least 15. And I found out that they cost thousands per one. Literally thousands per one. I think it was something ridiculous. I think it was like, I can't remember what someone said, but I think it was like I can't remember what it was. It was a lot of money, like a lot of money. And I say, because certain people like to record these shows now, I won't say precisely how much it was, just in case I'm wrong, but it was significant, like a significant amount of money, tens and tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands on these pods. And after about a month, I'd never seen anybody use one. Like, I'd never seen anybody go into one or talk in one. And one night we were in there quite late, about 7 o'clock, and all the officers had gone home. And I said, oh, let's have a game. Let's see if you can guess what I'm saying. So I said, I'll lock myself in. I'll say a word like, bah, 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 bah. And you've got to guess what I've said, because they're soundproof, right? So I shut myself in and I said, whatever, blue bananas. And the person outside went, blue bananas. I was like, oh, well done. You guessed it right. And I went back in again and I said, oh, sour apples. And they went, sour apples. I thought, bloody hell, this person's good. Anyway, cut a long story short, it turns out they weren't soundproof in any capacity whatsoever. You could hear it as clear as day, as almost though you're still in the room. It made no difference whatsoever. And I complained about these, and within months they were taken away. They're gone. I don't know where they're gone. I don't know whether we sold them or binned them. And I asked back, and this is 2022, I think it was. I asked back then who approved such a ridiculous spend, like who actually bought these and paid for these and thought it was a good idea. And to this day, they still will not tell me. So I don't know what officer paid for them, approved them, but I personally think whatever officer it was should be fired immediately. I mean, that is a waste of taxpayers' money at the highest order. But that's the kind of thing that happens in councils, not just Portsmouth City Council, every council. And as I say, when I first got elected, I wanted to build a new community hub in Paulsgrove, because Paulsgrove Community Centre is getting run down now, and it's coming towards something called end of life, which means eventually it's going to have to close and knock down. And I wanted to build a new one, and like a purpose-built one, like one that's just actually used. And I got a quote for it. I think back then I think I got a quote for 450,000 to build what I wanted to build. And I went into the council and said, right, 450 grand, blah, 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 blah. And they said, no, that'll cost like 2.5, 3 million. I said, what? I said, it's not, it's 400 grand. I said, what are you talking about, kind of thing. And I thought, you're off your nut. And anyway, so yeah, and I went to speak to the leader of the council, which at the time was Gerald Vernon Jackson. And I said to him, I said, look, what's going on? And he said to me, mate, this is the council world. You chuck a zero at the end of everything. He said, anything that you do, you put a zero at the end. And I guess that's true, because, a light bulb, realistically, you're talking a couple of quid a light bulb, and 15 minutes, 10 minutes to change it. It should be probably 12 quid, 15 quid, realistically. But yeah, they charge us £120. So yeah, like, you know, that was the philosophy of the council, chuck a zero on the end of it. And that's a real problem for us as taxpayers. Yeah, real big problem for us. So I've had a few comments. Someone saying about George, any idea about reform stance in the NHS? Absolutely happy to talk about that at the end of the show. Just stay live and you can answer me the question at the end. I said I'll do questions at the end if that's all right with everybody, just to keep it consistent. Because I've noticed last week I was going back and forth. And I know some people have mentioned about SEM provisions and things like that. Happy to answer all those questions at the end of the show. Gavin, £25 per hour, £10 per bowl, travel time pattern, 33% uplift. Well, yeah. So, I mean, Gavin, even that would be more reasonable, wouldn't it? I mean, if it's £25 per hour and it takes 15 minutes to change a bulb, even if we give them 15-minute travel time there and back, you got 25 quid for the hour. £10 for the bulb is probably expensive, in my opinion, but I'll take it. £10 for the bulb, VAT, etc. Yes, I mean, what you're basically saying, what, 65, 70 quid? I mean, that would be even more reasonable than 120. But say I don't know what it is now. It could be 200 now. I have absolutely no idea what it is now. But back then, yeah, 120 quid. So someone's put the glass panels on Albert Road by the King's Theatre. I remember reading it cost £750,000 when it was a tri-sale. Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, the cost of things are absolutely crazy when it comes to council. Crazy. I think a lot of it's because it's red tape. And Gavin, yeah, it's Gavin that said it. Gavin, if anybody watched the show last week, Gavin tried to sideswipe our Richard of the Week award at the last minute and tried to get himself selected, and he almost got it, didn't you, Gavin? But Gavin was a good sport. I messaged him after because he's a good sport, and I think, look, not everyone agrees politically, but I think it's always good to have a bit of conversation, debate, as long as it's respectful, right? As long as it's not insulting. So he was a good sport last week, and it's good to have you back on, Gav, and you can challenge at any point. So yeah, someone's asking about reform in gospel. Someone's talking about cultural city. Look, questions at the end, guys, and I'll take them as always. So very shortly, give it about 10 minutes, we'll be going on to the Richard of the Week Awards, where you can start nominating people for Richard of the Weeks. But before we do that, I want to discuss, because I did a post yesterday on X and on Facebook, and it's done really well. I've had, I think, about 400,000 interactions with it now, which is a really good number for me. Usually, I mean, my posts do well, but, you know, not usually ever that well. And yeah, 400,000 interactions about your party. Now, your party is a party, for those of you that don't know, that's been formed up by Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana and a few other independent MPs to start this new big socialist left-wing party, which confuses me really, because I thought the Green Party was kind of that right now anyway. So they've started this new whatever it is party, and since it's been kind of formed, it's been absolute havoc, isn't it? Absolute havoc. So you may remember, but Zara Sultana put up there you go, this one. Zara Sultana collected £800,000 of membership fees without approval of anybody. She sent an email out and said, join your party today. She didn't have the approval of Corbyn or anybody else, and she collected £800,000 in 48 hours. And she put all that money in her bank account. She didn't even put it into your party bank account. You'll see there it's being formally registered. The money was collected by MOU Operations Limited, which is 100% owned by Zara Sultana. So she chucked £800,000 of people's money in her own account that she controls, earning God knows what interest, and has basically held most of that money ransom for the last couple of months so that it doesn't go to your party, which is just crazy. I mean, let's just put this in perspective. Could you imagine if someone from Reform did this and it said, oh, we've got a new membership portal, please sign up now for a gold membership or something, and 100,000 people signed up to it, and all of a sudden some MP, you know, some Reform MP had this money in their bank account, they're holding it ransom. Oh my God, it'd be the front page of every newspaper. It would be huge, absolutely huge and scandalous. But yet it's being very quiet on this one, right? But she walked into conference and it's been a mess this weekend, an absolutely big old mess this weekend, because Zara Sultana didn't even turn up to the first day of her own conference. She boycotted it because she wasn't happy with how it's run. This lady is the type of person that just kind of like, yeah, someone's put your party, the gift that keeps on giving. They're hilarious. They are hilarious. I mean, she didn't like a decision, so she went, I'm not turning up to my own conference. Everything's a protest with these people. You know, she's protesting her own conference. And she's saying here, Zara Sultana has hit out over factionalism within your party that has been seen a stark display as his founding members conference this weekend. She also slammed the sight of Muslim women being manhandled and dragged out of the conference. I mean, this is honestly the most joke of a party I've ever known in my life. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And they spent the whole night the night before kicking out members before they even existed. And you've probably seen as well, they've now decided, this is the funny part, I think this is hilarious. They've now decided to have no leader. They've got no leader of the party at all. And they've got no they've got no leadership of the party at all, which is hilarious. They've decided to go to a membership strong model, which means that essentially their members are the leader, and that doesn't make any sense. Who leads it? And it says the members. What? So if they ever get into government, right? If they ever get elected into government, what, they're going to have 50,000 prime ministers? I mean, what? It doesn't. There's got to be a leader, but there can't be a leader because, like all socialist, left-wing crazy people, they can never agree on anything because they always fight. They love a fight. And one of the other things that come out of the conference is that there was a big disagreement amongst the Muslim communities, the fundamental Muslims, the strong Muslims of the group, and the trans activists, where they started arguing about things because they couldn't see eye to eye on things. Well, duh. I mean, obviously. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but if you are, and I'm not saying all Muslims, because some Muslims are really, really moderate, but those really fundamental people that believe in the Muslim religion, where there is no deviation from what they believe to be the scripture, they have clashed with the trans activists and the LGBTQ plus whatever it bloody is activists, and they've had a big falling out at the conference, a huge falling out, a massive falling out, and where there was boos and stuff, and it's just well, of course. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Because the two things don't meet, do they? And this is what I was saying to the stand up to racism protesters a few times outside of Portsmouth. I had a conversation with a few of them before, and I said to them, but you support trans rights, right? And of course we support trans rights. I said, then you can't support legal migrants that are fundamental Muslims. You can't support that. You can't support both. You can't. It's impossible. They morally conflict with each other. You can't do both. They want to, but you can't. And the realism is if one of those trans people, these trans activists, actually went across to Palestine, when it was controlled by Hamas, a couple of years ago or whatever, they would have been stoned or killed or put in prison forever. That's the reality of it. If a man went over there in a dress and said that they were a woman and then started sleeping with other men, they'd be killed for that. They'd be killed for that. Now, in our society, in our country, we accept that. Some people might not like it, some people may support it, but we accept it as a community because we are more advanced or more accepting or more welcoming. I don't know, but we are a more civilized country where we allow people and accept people for who they are and what they believe in and stuff. I know a lot of us challenge it, but we accept it. We don't kill somebody because they believe in something. But and these people just couldn't get it. These stamped races people just could not get it. And I saw a clip which I have to play you. I'm not going to give any opinion on it, but I have to play you this clip from the conference. Have a watch of this.
Hello, my name's Mick Bailey Gibson and I'm a non-binary person. Give it up for the trans people, everybody! Thank you, comrades. And it is an honour and a privilege to be stood speaking on this podium today. The reason I am saying yes to socialism in this political statement is because as a trans comrade, as a disabled comrade, as a mad comrade, and a neurodivergent comrade,
so that was a clip from the Your Party. There was many clips. If you haven't watched it and you're bored and you fancy a good laugh, go back and watch some of the clips and the arguments they're having. There was one example where someone stood up, because obviously I don't know if you know, but a couple of the founding MPs have already left Your Party. They've already completely and utterly left Your Party already. They withdrew, and there's a person gone on stage and said, I'm glad those two MPs have left because they were anti-trans. Those two Muslim MPs were anti-trans, and someone stops them and says, sorry, you can't say that about MPs. You can't claim them of being transphobic. And you see the trans activists look at them like, allegedly trans, you know, they're unhappy that they're being challenged by their own self. Honestly, it's the most dysfunctional group of people I've ever known. And I don't think, to be fair, people say, why don't you join the Green Party? I don't think they should join the Green Party, because I think, you know, I think the Green Party are nuts themselves. Don't get me wrong. I think that, you know, Zach Polanski, when you've got a leader of a party that believes that he can hypnotize you into having bigger breasts, they're probably not the most credible party in the world. But that being said, I think they've got more morals and more standpoint than this current Your Party mess. At least in the Green Party, they know who their leader is and they support who their leader is. In Your Party, they're making it up as they go along. There's going to be, and they're stealing money apparently off of people, you know, and keeping money in accounts. It's absolutely mind blowing. Your Party, you know, it's just absolutely. George, don't mention Muslims. It makes you sound racist again. Muslims aren't a race, my friend. They're not a race. They're a religion. It's true you want reduction in minimum wage for young people. Like, why? This is the thing, Paul. I don't know, because I can't see a picture. I don't know if you're a white man, a black man, a Middle Eastern man. I don't know what you are, because I can't see your photo. However, you can speak about Muslims, you can speak about Christians, or speak about Buddhists, or speak about Hindus, or speak about whatever. You can talk about these people. It doesn't make you racist. I mean, in fact, I would argue, Paul, that you are the racist, my friend. I would argue that because I've talked about a topic as though it's a normal topic, and a topic that's been discussed at the Your Party conference, which I'm assuming you don't think are a racist group of people, but a conversation that was openly discussed at the Your Party conference. And sorry, 1 second. I'm going to have to message my partner because there's absolute carnage going on in this room right now. There you go. I won't tell you what was just happening because this is a PG show. However, it needs to be controlled by the other half. But yeah, it's not racist to question Muslims or trans people. I mean, and the fact, Paul, that you've mentioned it, the fact that you've actually brought it up, actually, in my opinion, Paul, makes you the racist, my friend. It makes you the racist because you have decided to see it as a race problem. So I'm going to challenge you there, Paul, and unfortunately, I'm going to say that I think you're the racist in this conversation because I don't see race. I see a debate between what two opposing opinions had, and those opinions had a discussion, and we're discussing that discussion. If you've seen that as a racist problem, you're the racist, my friend. So we'll just leave that one there. Greens are a different kind of mad, yeah. Brian says, I'm getting bigger breasts with age. Yeah. I can vouch for that. He is. But yeah, so in a minute, we're going to go on to the Richard of the Week award. It's gone at 7:30. We're going to try and make the Richard of the Week award a little bit quicker this week. And I'm open to nominations if anybody thinks. I mean, let's have a look. I mean, have you guys seen any comments online? Have you guys seen anything that you think deserves the Richard of the Week awards? It could be national, it could be local, it could be anything you want it to be. Paul says, lol, me racist, you idiot. I'm going to sue you. Okay, sue me, Paul. Sue me, Paul the racist. Sue me, Paul the racist. So this is, I mean, Paul could actually win the Richard of the Week at this rate because he's come in with his racist rhetoric and might end up winning the Richard of the Week award. So this is the Richard of the Week award. For those of you who don't know, please feel free to jump in the comments and suggest who you think could be nominated for a Richard of the Week award, and we can go through that and discuss it and yeah, go from there. And for those of you that don't know what a Richard of the Week award is, it's an award that we give people every single week for saying something stupid or doing something stupid. It could be a national thing, it could be a local thing, it could be a comment you see on Facebook, it could be something a politician said, it could be anything you want, anything you think is stupid. So you can, you know, if you've seen anything and you think it's worth noting, then please put it in the comments. And obviously, we'll go through the options now. And then you guys at home will pick who the winner is, as we always do. You guys pick who the winner is. And before we start the Richard of the Week competition, it'd be really wonderful if you could share this video. So if you're on X, please repost it. If you're on Facebook, please share it. And if you've already shared it or reposted it, please just drop the video a like or the page a like, because then it boosts the sharing as well. And we'll get as many people involved in this Richard of the Week award as possible, because it's always a bit of fun in it. It's always a bit of fun. And for those of you that are watching at home that are easily offended, you should probably turn off right now, because this is not anything political in that sense. It's not about anything other than just having a bit of fun and highlighting some stupid comments. And that's what we do. That's what we do. So we'll go back to There is plenty of Richard abouts, Josh. You are right. We'll go back to the first Richard of the Week award 2 weeks ago. So you know how the bar is. You know how the bar is. We'll set the bar, all right? So this is what won the Richard of the Week award 2 weeks ago, when someone said that they called me a racist bigot, and then they put at the bottom #KillWhites. And there's also some other stuff in there that was quite bad as well, but I'm not going to read that out because I don't think it should be comfortable. And Harvey, don't worry, we've not started the Richard of the Week award yet. So if you're just tuning in, we have not started the Richard of the Week award yet. We're going to do that in a minute. So don't panic, my friends. There's still time to share it and get involved. And then last week's Richard of the Week award was Amanda Martin, the MP for Portsmouth North, who claimed that she resolved a resurfacing of Copner, and it turns out that she had no involvement whatsoever. It was the Conservatives that did it, and she wasn't even an MP. I don't know, she wasn't even a councillor when this got through. She had no involvement in it whatsoever. It was not funded by Labour, supported by her, or anything else whatsoever. So that is the 2 previous Richard of the Week awards, and what our bar is set against, absolutely. And we'll go through that in a minute. Someone just said Rachel from accounts has to be the leader with her black hole. Do you know what, Andy? You're probably right. I should have maybe put Rachel from accounts in the selection, but I pre-planned this yesterday before that story broke. So Rachel isn't in this week's story, but maybe we'll put her in next week. And for those of you that don't know what Rachel did, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, was told by the OBR that that she didn't have as much of a black hole as she announced. So she told everybody, we got this huge multi-billion-pound black hole, so we've got to put up your taxes, we've got to do this, we can't spend as much, blah blah blah. And it wasn't true. The OBR informed her that she didn't have the deficit that she thought she did, and she didn't need to raise the taxes that she thought she did, and she did it anyway. So she in my opinion, you got to call it misled, haven't you? I think I would go as strong as saying it was a lie. But you've got to say misled. So she misled Parliament, I believe, and I think she misled the British people. And for that, I think she's got to go. I think she's got to resign. And in my opinion, I think this is so bad that I think, in my opinion, it should bring the government down. I think there should be a general election. And I'm not the kind of person that calls for a general election. I don't sign the general election petitions and stuff like that because, you know, a party got elected, we don't like it, but we got to live with it. They got elected and they should serve their term, and at the end of that term we make a decision. And I don't think that we should call for like a general election. This is a really, really serious thing. But I think that this is serious because you've misled 65 odd million people that live in this country. You've lied to Parliament, and you've put up taxes, and you've taken the winter fuel allowance away from people. You haven't supported the WASPy women like you said you'd do. There's lots of things that they've done. And they've always blamed the black hole, and they always said to the Conservatives, you left us in this mess, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, the Conservatives repeatedly, I'm not one to defend the Conservatives, as you know, but the Conservatives repeatedly said it doesn't exist, you're liars, you're making it up, blah, blah, blah. And nobody believed the Conservatives. And why would they? Because the Conservatives treated this country like crap for the last several years. And then it turns out that Labour didn't have as big of a problem as they initially said. So, yeah, I think maybe next week's Richard of the Week, if the story continues, which I think it's probably going to, maybe she resigns this week. So maybe next week we'll add Rachel from accounts into the Richard of the Week award. So we're going to go to the Richard of the Week award now. Whoop, whoop, whoop. The Richard of the Week award. So this is the nominations. So for those of you who don't know what we do here, we do this every single week. We nominate a Richard of the Week, and Richard is short for the name Dick, isn't it? So it's a Dick of the Week award. It doesn't mean they're a dick as in a penis. It means that they're a Richard. Okay, so don't be offended. They're a Richard of the Week award. And what I will do is I'll address something from last week. For those of you who don't remember or do remember, I mentioned Councillor Cal Corkery as one of the options for Richard of the Week, and people have been really offended by I done that because his father passed away in July. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't remember that happened or have any recollection of it. He sent me an email and I checked on my phone, and he did send me an email back in July, I think it was, but I never opened it. I didn't actually read it. So so Scott, don't worry, you've not missed it out yet. I'm asking for suggestions, Scott. If you've got anybody you've got in mind, put it in the comments before we start. But no, Cal Corkery, I invited him to come on the show. He didn't want to come on the show and debate me or talk about it. But what I will say, and it is dreadful that his father died. Of course it is, absolutely. But the guy has got a 29% attendance record, or did have at the time. It's gone up slightly now. But he had a 29% attendance record at the time. That's very disgustingly poor. And I understand that people pass away and they have sad moments and they have problems and they have health issues. However, everybody has problems and issues, and there's been multiple people in that chamber, all the councillors, that have lost very direct close relatives this year. You know, somebody lost their mother, and someone else lost somebody else, and their attendance records are still in the 80s, 90%. Furthermore, and I understand people react differently, so maybe Councillor Corkery was particularly close to his father, maybe it was a tough one, I don't know that. But what I will say is that he's using the death of his father to justify why his attendance is so low, right? However, he attended protests and stood next to Stand Up to Racism, and literally stood in front of the hotel for migrants, protected them, and stood at the pro-Palestine protests. So if you can go to a protest, you can go to a 20-minute meeting in council. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, you know, it's very sad his father died, and big condolences. Obviously, it's never nice to go through, but I think using that as an excuse for lack of attendance is not really justified. That's my opinion. You can think what you want. So yeah, if anyone else has got any suggestions about who should be the Richard of the Week, please chuck them in the comments. We're going to start going through there now. And as I said, sorry, I got a bit distracted then, but I want to address that from last week. But the Richard of the Week award goes to the stupid comment of the week, and what we do every single week. So if you're watching now, do not turn off, do not tune off, do not stop watching, do not stop watching. Someone's put, didn't Cal get arrested a few years back? Scott said, I don't know. Did he get arrested a few years back? If he did, I have no idea. And please put it in the comments of what happened, because I did not know that, if that is true. But yeah, so what we do is we do the Richard of the Week. Do not tune off now. We give you 3 options, option 1, 2, and 3. And we go through each one. And then you guys at home decide who wins the Richard of the Week award. Then what we do is we print this certificate off. We add their name to it and we send it to them, just for a bit of a laugh, you know, just a bit of a joke. And then at the end of every month, we will nominate a Richard of the Month award. And so next month, oh, actually, we could do it today. We could do it today. After we decide the 3, we could decide the winner of the month award as well. All right. So feel free to comment. I'll chuck the comments on the screen as well. Feel free to comment anybody that I'm not nominating. You can always put your own ideas in, or your own people, or whatever. I'm always open to comments. So here we go, people. Buckle in. So the first Richard of the Week nomination goes to Toby Payne from Portsmouth News. Now, for those of you who didn't see my status the other day, let me explain about Toby Payne from the Even News. Now, first of all, what I will say is I actually like Toby on a personal level. You know, one of these people that you actually get on with on a personal level. I think he's an all right guy. However, what I will say is that over the summer, maybe from spring, his political reporting has become really biased, in my opinion. And his articles have become really left-leaning. In fact, one of you guys at home that are watching actually spent the time to get ChatGPT to get all of his articles for this year. And ChatGPT made an assertion of what the leaning was. And ChatGPT looked at the articles and did say that he was a left-leaning journalist. So ChatGPT looked at it, and obviously independently, you can't really program ChatGPT to say something you don't want to say. And they literally looked at all of his articles this year and labeled him a left-leaning journalist. His stories have a left-leaning with very little balance on the right side of politics. So that was what ChatGPT said. But the reason I've put him as the first option for Richard of the Week is that when I was an independent councillor back in the day, he would put me on quotes every single week. So he'd call me up and say, George, what's your opinion on this? I'll quote you. And he quoted me. Since I joined Reform, that's not existed. Furthermore, he has stopped reporting on any stories that make liberals or Stand Up to Racism look bad. Very biased. So this is a list of the things that I requested or asked him to write about this year, or asked him to look at. And these are the things that he ignored. So he ignored the story about the alleged cover-up of a migrant rape in Portsmouth. Now, the Sun newspaper published it on their front page that officers at Portsmouth City Council tried to cover up a alleged rape of a migrant However, Portsmouth News, Toby refused to run that story. Now, this could be Toby or it could be the editors, but at the end of the day, Toby's my point of contact. So they didn't run that story. And then obviously the second one was an official investigation into a senior council officer who acted inappropriately. Once again, GB News, Talk TV did a full interview segment on the chief executive officer of Portsmouth City Council, who was investigated following on from that cover-up. The local news refused to report on it because they used that it's an active ongoing investigation. I think this is the point to make, is that they used it, or Toby used the excuse, and I've got it on messages. Toby did say to me, it's an active ongoing investigation, so we don't comment on it. Fine, I'll take that principle, and we'll come back to why it's important in a minute. Labour Party accepted a donation from a convicted criminal. A protest requesting the Lib Dem leader, Steve Pitt, to resign despite him being there and getting photos. So Toby was at a protest which was organised. Nothing about asylum seekers, nothing about anything else. It was about getting Steve Pitt to resign. There was loads of boards and placards. I've got the picture somewhere, but I haven't got it on the screen at the moment. And Toby was there. He had pictures, but he refused to report on it because obviously it was anti-Liberal Democrat. He wouldn't report on it. And instead, he chose to report on supporting stand-up to racist positions and ignored the resignation of the Liberal Democrats. He refused to run a story on a local man being assaulted by a police officer. So, because obviously the man was an anti-migrant protester, wouldn't run a story on that. And then a left-wing election candidate in Portsmouth posting strange content. He refused to comment on that as well. And yeah, and the reason I say that the official investigation to a senior council officer who acted inappropriately, and he said to me the excuse was that it was an active ongoing investigation. That did not stop him reporting on me last week for the tribunals, which he knows is an active and ongoing court case, because I challenged it in court and it's going through court now, and he knows that that's an active court case, but yet he chose to report on it. So that's why he has got the nomination of the week. And I think, to be fair, and I haven't got the screenshot of this either, but he also did an article a few days ago about stand up to racism, promoting how positive they are and how amazing stand up to racism are again. So I think we can truly say he is option number one for the Richard of the Week award. So that's number one, everybody. So let me know what you think about that. That is option numero uno. Now we're going to go on to the second option. Now the second option for the second option for the Richard of the Week award is actually the Portsmouth Liberal Democrat administration as a whole. And let me explain to you why. So this week, Portsmouth Liberal Democrat administration approved, you can see at the bottom of the decision there, authorised officers to enable the city of Portsmouth to enter into a relationship with the town of Bizet in Palestine to start a formal friendship agreement. So we are looking at starting a twinning agreement, essentially, a friendship agreement with Palestine, which I think most people can think is probably crazy. Now, they used, let me show you the decision first. Let me show you the decision. Have a watch of this.
Members, are we happy with the recommendation that officers be authorised to enable the City of Portsmouth to enter into this relationship with the view to becoming a formal friendship agreement over time?
So there we go. So Portsmouth's Liberal Democrat administration approved us this week to enter a formal relationship agreement, friendship agreement with Palestine. And they use in their, and the reason this is going to be a Richard of the Week award is not because of the decision they made, although a lot of us will disagree with it. I certainly do. But it's because they use things like the Bizet University. And they were saying that it's a majority Christian country. They were trying to pretend that like people had an issue with the fact it was a Muslim country. No one has an issue with what religion they are. People have an issue with Palestine because of what the country has done. I mean, they're the home of Hamas, right, which is a proscribed terrorist organization. They're in the middle of a war. And the idea of a twinning agreement or a friendship agreement is that you share cultural ties. You have similarities in your cities. You have similarities in your trade agreements. You have sister links. So, for example, you send delegates over there. They send delegates over here. You can sometimes do student exchanges. I mean, is anybody watching this currently right now thinking that they would like to send their children to Palestine for a student exchange? Is anybody actually genuinely sitting here and saying that they would do that? Because if you are, then you're crazy. But the thing is what they were saying is that Bizet in Palestine is a safe area. It's not controlled by Hamas. It's a majority Christian area. And the reason I'm putting them on the Richard of the Week award, the Liberal Democrats on this one, is because, well, that simply isn't true. Bizet used to be a majority Christian country, but a very, very, very quick Google search will tell you that it is no longer a majority Christian country. In fact, it is no longer that at all. Not that that's a problem, but the problem is that they were relying quite heavily on the Bizet University. They were saying that the Bizet University is a beacon in the local area. It's massive in the local area. It's well-respected university in the area, blah, 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 blah. And it turns out, you're going to love this, it turns out that for the last 7 years, when they've held student elections, the student union of who run the university, it has been won by a pro-Hamas group. So the students in Bizet University are voting for pro-Hamas group to run it. And they've elected student union members on there that support Hamas, a prescribed terrorist organization. So this week, in my opinion, the Liberal Democrats have signed Portsmouth City Council up to a relationship with an organization that supports Hamas, a prescribed terrorist organization. Now, if that doesn't make you a Richard of the Week nomination, then I really, truly do not know what does. So that is why I've nominated it for option 2 of Richard of the Week. So let's just refresh it very quickly for those of you who just joined us. Option number 1 for Richard of the Week award this week is Toby Payne from The News for being, in my opinion, very politically biased. Number 2 is Liberal Democrats for approving us to twin or have a friendship agreement with Palestine.
Members, are we happy with the recommendation that officers be authorised to enable the City of Portsmouth to enter into this relationship with the view to becoming a formal friendship agreement over time?
Now, the third and final nomination, and keep up with me here, was a difficult one. I had a couple of you suggest people to me or ideas to me this week. And if you've got any ideas for the third one, please drop them in the comments. Please comment who you think would be appropriate for our third nomination. I'm all here for it. So please do chuck a comment in there if you think I've missed anybody. But the third nomination for this week was pretty difficult. And I think if I come up with this today, I probably would have put Rachel Reeves in there. But as I say, I'll put her in next week's one for everybody that wants to watch. But the third option for me this week was difficult. I had a lot of suggestions from you. And as I say, please do write them in the comments just here and we can discuss them. However, the one I've gone for the third option this week is the Gosport Liberal Democrats. The Gosport Liberal Democrats. So the option number 2 was the Portsmouth Liberal Democrats. But this one is the Gosport Liberal Democrats. And the reason I was unsure whether to put this in is because I commented on it, about it the other day, and somebody connected to the story asked me to be sensitive about it. And I said that I wouldn't really discuss it much anymore because it's relating to a death. So I am going to be quite sensitive about what I say, and I'm not going to make it too political. I'm just going to make it factual out of respect. But the reason I want to bring it up was because that basically what happened is last week, the Gosport Liberal Democrats put out a status, which then got put in the Portsmouth News. Don't know why it was in Portsmouth News. To call Reform Gosport disgusting and disrespectful. And it says leaving a widow devastated and heartbroken. And they've said that. And I'm glad that Gosport Reform are actually on the chat because hopefully they can confirm some of this. But basically, they Gosport Liberal Democrats blames Gosport Reform for being disrespectful towards a councillor who unfortunately passed away just a week ago now. Now, this councillor passed away after years of service and it left a vacant spot. And they're saying it was disgusting that Gosport Reform have called for a by-election. Okay. But the key point here is, and this is a reason why I've put them into the Richard of the Week award, is the Gosport Liberal Democrats have tried to politicise this passing, which is very, very sad, of course. By blaming the Gosport Liberal Democrats for being disgusting and disrespectful and saying that the widow is now devastated and heartbroken by Gosport Reform. However, it was actually the Liberal Democrats who basically politicised and campaigned this. So within, I think it was 48 hours after that councillor did pass away, the Liberal Democrats had designed, printed and delivered a flyer to the whole of the councillor who passed ward. To every single house on the councillor pass ward within 48 hours or 72 hours of the guy passing. They designed, printed, and distributed a flyer to promote the other councillor and promote the work of the Liberal Democrats, and very, very smallly mentioned the passing of the councillor. What happened then is this triggered Gosport Reform to ask the question about what happens to the vacant seat. And one of our Reform team called up the Gosport office and said, we've heard this rumour, because the Liberal Democrats never notified Gosport Reform of this. And they just heard it on a flyer. So they called up the election office and we asked if that was accurate and true and what the process is. And the election office said, yes, it does leave a vacancy. Just drop us an email and we can do a by-election. So the officers at Gosport set out what they wanted them to do. Gosport Reform did that, as they rightly should do. And then obviously that triggered a by-election. But the Gosport Liberal Democrats basically then politicised it when it was actually them who put the flyer out. And if they hadn't put the flyer out, Gosport Reform would have never have known about it. So Liberal Democrats actually politicised their own friends' and colleagues' death. I mean, who needs enemies when you've got friends like Liberal Democrats, right? And that's why they're the nomination for the third position of Richard of the Week. So that's our 3 nominations for this week. We have got Toby Payne from the News, option number 1, for being very politically biased and for skipping stories that make anybody on the left seem bad. We've got option number 2, the Liberal Democrats in Portsmouth for twinning or doing a friendship agreement with Palestine. And option number 3 is the Gosport Liberal Democrats for politicising their own friends' passing and then blaming Reform for it. So that's our 3 options. So you can start voting now for the Rich of the Week awards. So please just start commenting. We'll tally them all up and you can nominate the Rich of the Week. And then what we will do, people, is we will then look at the other previous winners and we will collectively decide who the Richard of the Month award goes to too. Very exciting stuff, isn't it? So please do start commenting and start deciding which ones you want. You've got 3 options to decide who the Idiot of the Week award goes to. Number 1 is Toby Payne from Portsmouth News, who is very politically biased. We have number 2, which is Portsmouth Liberal Democrats for doing a friendship agreement with Palestine. And number 3 is the Gosport Liberal Democrats for politicising their friends' passing and then blaming Gosport Reform for it. So that's your 3 selections for this week. Feel free to comment. And while we do this, we allow this, for those of you that are brand new to the show, we allow this part to go on now for about 5, 6, 7 minutes to allow most of you to get on and to vote for who you think should be the Richard of the Week award. And meanwhile, if any of you got any questions, this is the part I will answer your questions. If you got any questions, please fire them in the comments just there to the right-hand side. And you can leave a comment on X, on YouTube, on TikTok, or Facebook, and I will see them. So please comment any questions you got. And it could be a serious question, it could be a policy question, it could be something it could be something to do with local government, it could be something to do with my opinion on national issue. You could ask. We had a fun week a few weeks ago where you asked, would you rather questions? Would you rather do this or this? And we had a bit of fun with that. So whatever you want to ask, I'm all here for it. And I'll answer your questions as openly as possible, as always. I've just seen we've got like 200 viewers on X. Hello, 200 viewers on X. That's incredible. So if you're watching on X, please fire me some comments. I am watching. I'm on it right now. So fire me some comments. Someone's asked, how strong is Reform doing in Gosport? They're doing really well. They've got a really good chairman that's taken over in the last 6 months. And they are preparing massively for the election, which is really, really good. I think they'll do really well in May. Really do. I really, really think they'll do well in May. So far, we've got 1 vote for 3, 1 vote for 2, another vote for 3. I'd say it's a tie between 2 and 3. You can't pick ties, people. You got to pick 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3. Just reading through. Do you know what? It's really close. So do comment, people. Currently, there's 4 votes for one, 4 votes the other, and 3 votes the other. So get voting option 1, 2, or 3. This is probably the closest one we've actually had, to be fair. So let's go through the questions whilst we wait. I'll put them on the stream. Let's do some questions whilst we get your votes in. Let's have a look. George, if they actually twinned with that place in Palestine, well, they have started a friendship agreement. So yeah, absolutely. Gospel, we've answered that one. Let's talk about the deputy leader said about send children. Absolutely disgusting. Michelle Bates. Yeah, I'm not comfortable. I didn't really overly like what the comment was about headphones with SEN children. But look, the opinion of one person does not mean it's the opinion of the entire party. You know, you're never going to agree 100% with everything everyone says. I mean, obviously, I mean, that's, you know, I'm sure you could sit in a room with your family and disagree with most things, you know. So, you know, you don't always agree on everything everyone says. Personally, it made me feel uncomfortable as well. And it's not something I certainly support, but you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But as I say, one person doesn't make a party. So just because one person said it doesn't mean that that's what the party believe, you know. Another vote for two, another vote for two, another vote for one, for three. It's really close this week. It's really close this week. Let's have a look more questions. When does twinning become official and can it be stopped? Cos the beast. So I'll answer that for you. Comment from Twitter. So I appreciate that one. I like comments from Twitter and from YouTube. So if you're watching on one of those, please do comment. When does twinning become official and can it be stopped? So the officers have now, if I show you now, you can have a little look at the bottom of this comment. You'll see it says at the bottom that the decision is that the cabinet have authorised officers to enable the city of Portsmouth to enter into a relationship with the town of Bizet, with the view of becoming a formal friendship city. So the process has now already started, and it will conclude when the officers get around to finalising it. We are going to try and stop it. We are going to try. There is a mechanism to try and stop it, which we're going to do. I don't want to talk about it too much on here because I know that rival councillors, I know that Liberal Democrats certainly do watch this show. So I'm not going to say anything at the moment. But yes, we are going to try and stop it. Absolutely. Replying to Harvey Bloor, 1,000. So there you go. So Gosport Reform just replied, there's 1,235 fully paid up members, the largest party in Gosport by a country mile. We have no councillors as of yet, but we're standing in every seat in May, plus the by-election as well, which is in January the 15th, which is a crazy time. Someone's put, I don't agree with Portsmouth twinning Palestine. It's just not okay. So across all the networks so far, we have 9 votes for option 2, 8 votes for option 3, and 5 votes for option 1. So this is definitely the closest one we have had. Absolutely, it's the closest one we had. So yeah, please keep your questions coming in. I'm happy to answer them. Whatever questions that are on your mind, in a couple of minutes, we'll make the final call on who the Richard of the Week award is. And then we'll go to the second round of voting so that you can vote for the Richard of the Month award. It's the first Richard of the Month award as well. And as I said to you guys, what we'll do is the end of the year, we'll look at everyone that wins the month, select a Richard of the Year award as well. Complicated, right? So also, as I said to you at the start of the show, I haven't eaten yet, and I'm very hungry. So if any of you have got some suggestions, if you live in Portsmouth, it's a bit irrelevant if you're watching this show in Glasgow. I know a few people do watch this show in Liverpool, Manchester, and things like that. But yeah, if you live in Portsmouth and you've got any suggestions for what I can eat for dinner tonight, please do comment ideas, and because you might just make my mind up of where to eat, because I'm bleeding hungry, really hungry. And I'm a type of person that hungry orders. Does anyone else do that? Like hungry orders? So like you should have ordered like ages ago, but you don't. And then all of a sudden you buy way more food than you could ever consume in your life ever. I do that all the time. So yeah, any ideas would be great for food tonight. Someone says Clyde. No. I know I said I'm open to any ideas, Clyde, but sushi. No. I bloody hate sushi. On that note, did anybody watch I'm a Celebrity, the live trial the other night when they started throwing up live on TV and they didn't cut away, and then all of the celebrities, well, I think it was Ginge, wasn't it? Angry Ginge started throwing up over the balcony. So they had the shot of the celebrity throwing, and they're all, just so you know, they always try and cut away from throwing up. They don't put it on there because obviously people have trigger reflexes, and they had someone throwing up, and then they cut away to get away from the throwing up, and then caught someone else throwing up. I don't know if you saw, but apparently it triggered loads of complaints, and apparently thousands of people were at home throwing up as well. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's seen that, but yeah, apparently thousands and thousands of people at home were throwing up in their living rooms off of the back of it. Someone said, who proposed twinning? Was it a councillor or council officer? Well, it was actually Councillor Cal Corkery, ironically, who was up for our Rich of the Week award last week, Cos Beast. So yeah, Councillor Cal Corkery was the one that proposed the twinning with Palestine. Yeah, so sorry, I missed a few questions then. What was the reasoning for twinning with Palestine? What could actually come from it? Their reasoning was solidarity, which I think is the wrong reason, Harvey. They said that the main reason for twinning with Palestine is to show solidarity with the Palestinian people, because we're also twinned with Haifa, which is in Israel, but we twinned with them 40, 50 years ago for actual real reasons, you know, not for political reasons. But I think that twinning for solidarity is disgusting, in my opinion. I really think it's appalling, like really bad, because you shouldn't be twinning or taking a side. It's almost like they're taking a side. They're saying we support Palestine over Israel, and I think it's improper for a council to do that. I don't like it, so I've never liked it. No, I'm not having sushi. Someone's put, send children aren't going away. What are Reform going to do? Michelle, I don't create national policy. You'll have to wait until the national policy comes out, but yeah, I have nothing else to say about that. Cockner Grill. I mean, well, actually, you know what I will say, Michelle, is that in Portsmouth, we are very, Reform are very pro SEN. I myself, so I can tell you what I did. I myself requested, because we had loads of funding for parks to be built, and they were refurbishing loads of parks. And I thought that would be a good time to put communication boards onto all the parks that have been refurbished, and the officers loved the idea, and they did. They put communication boards on all of the parks, and that was my suggestion. That they weren't doing that before me, so I suggested that, and they changed. They changed all of the boards when they're redoing them to communication boards. And because I thought that was a sensible thing to do, that's a very cheap thing to do and makes it accessible for SEN children. And the Reform's local deputy chairman, because I'm the chairman at the moment of Reform in Portsmouth, but I'm not for too long because I'm standing down in February from that position. And I'll explain why at a later show. I can't announce it just yet, but at a later show, you'll understand why I'm standing down from chairman of Portsmouth Reform. But when I stand down, hopefully, I mean, my full support will be behind Lamara, and Lamara is a parent who has fought the council. If you've not seen it, Google Lamara Fudge Portsmouth and click on the news icon, and you'll see that she fought the council for years over SEN provisions, and she won a court case against the council. Actually, she won a court case against the council. And she's an SEND parent, and yeah, so Portsmouth Reform are entirely behind that topic. So I'm going to call the winner now, everybody that's watching. So by one vote, so it was very, very close, but by one vote, the Richard of the Week award this week goes to the Liberal Democrats.
Members, are we happy with the recommendation that officers be authorised to enable the City of Portsmouth to enter into this relationship with the view to becoming a formal friendship agreement over time? We are so agreed. Thank you very much.
So there we go. The Rich of the Week award this week goes to Portsmouth Liberal Democrats. Well done to them. I'm sure they'll be proud to put that award in their office. And in fact, I'm in council this week, so I'll personally deliver the award myself. For those of you that are still watching, I'm just going to give another plug to my YouTube channel, which I'm going to upload this whole video to every single week, so you can always watch back. And there is quite interesting, you know, I told you guys that I'm building a studio set up that is happening in January, and we've got a really cool show coming out. I'm not going to tell you the details yet, but it's a really cool show that's coming out. It is cool. I'm not going to lie to you. It's really, really good. I'm going to have a guest on with me as well. It's me and another person that are going to be presenting a weekly show. And it's going to be a good one, trust me. Really, really good. So go and subscribe over the YouTube channel and do that. Now, for everybody that's still watching, I'm going to have to get through this fast because I do want to get off by 8:15 tonight. It's now time to nominate our first Richard of the Month award. And as I say, we're doing this so that we can whittle down every single month who the Richard of the Month award is. And then at the end of the year, we can get an annual Richard of the Year award. So The first month, these are the people that have won previous weeks. So please stick with me on this one. So you guys now have to pick the Richard of the Month. And these are the 3 nominations for Richard of the Month award this month of November. So the first nomination was the winner 2 weeks ago, which is this tweet from Unequal Canal, who called me a racist bigot and then put hashtag kill whites. Now, what I will say about this is that I think this is the most disgusting tweet I've ever received. But what I will say is I don't know who it is. It's a fake account. So I could never actually present them with an award. I actually DM'd them on Twitter, a digital copy of it, but they haven't even opened it or read it. So if we do nominate them for the Richard of the Month award, which you're more than welcome to do, I don't know how we're going to give it to him. But it is a really bad tweet, right? Then last week was option number 2, which is Amanda Martin, for claiming that she resurfaced a road that she never had any involvement in, and she was caught out by actually all political parties criticised her. Liberals, Tories and Reform and the Independents all criticised her, and she was caught out for lying about it. She did lie about it. She didn't have any involvement in doing that road whatsoever, but she claimed it as a big victory. That's option number 2. And option number 3 is our winner for this week, which is Portsmouth Liberal Democrats for twinning with Palestine. So that's your 3 options. You can start voting now, as I say, because I only want to spend a few more minutes on there. So option number 1 is the tweet from Unequal Canal, who said, "You are a racist bigot. Hashtag kill whites." So racist themselves. Option number 2 is Amanda Martin, who claimed the resurfacing of a road that she never actually had any involvement in. And option number 3 is the Portsmouth Liberal Democrats, our winner for this week, for twinning with Burzet in Palestine. So that's your 3 options for the Richard of the Month awards. I'm keeping a note of all these. So start voting now. Get your votes in. You've got 1 minute. It's going to be a quick fire voting. While you do that, shall I put some music on? Let's have some music, shall we? What should we play? Should we play... let's have a look. Epic music. Let's play epic music. You've got 1 minute. This isn't epic. That's cinematic music. What's that? I don't know what's going on. Get your votes in. That was awful. That music, awful. So that's your 3 options. You've got option number 1, which is the tweets. Just this is a final time for you to say. So option number 1 is the tweet, which is from Unequal Canal, who said, "You are a racist bigot. Hashtag kill whites." You've got option number 2, which is Amanda Martin MP for Portsmouth North, who claimed that she resurfaced an entire road. I assume not by herself, but she claimed that she had basically done it and she had no involvement at all and got called out by all political parties. And option number 3 is the Liberal Democrats twinning with Palestine. Bad one, this one. Bad one. So pick who you think should be the Richard of the Month award. Let's have a look so far. We've got 4 votes for 5 votes for Amanda, 6 votes for Amanda, 7 votes for Amanda, 8 votes for Amanda so far. We've got no votes for option number 1. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 votes for the for twinning with Palestine. So it's 8 votes to Amanda Martin, 7 votes to Palestine. There's 8 votes to Palestine now and 8 votes for Amanda Martin. Whoever votes next that hasn't voted yet, that's the winner of the Richard of the Month. 3. There you go. Done. Barbara Williams has commented. Barbara, you got the deciding vote. So the Richard of the Month awards, this was a close one. The Richard of the Month awards will be going to this man right here.
Members, are we happy with the recommendation that officers be authorised to enable the City of Portsmouth to enter into this relationship with the view to becoming a formal friendship agreement over time? Yes. We are so agreed. Thank you very much.
And there you go. So Portsmouth Liberal Democrats not only won the Richard of the Week award, they also won the Richard of the Month award, which is brilliant because I am in council this week and I will deliver by hand their award to their office myself, which I'll get much pleasure in. And if you've taken offence to anything in this show, okay, cry about it. And please start submitting your ideas and please get involved because, as I say, it starts from now. So anything that happens from now, any comments you see on Facebook, any comments you see on Twitter, any stupid things that happen, any stupid decisions that happen, anybody that says ridiculous things, send them to me. Tweet me them, send them to me on Facebook, tag me in them, and potentially They will be up for the Rich of the Week Awards next week. But thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. It's been great to have you. And I will upload this video on YouTube tomorrow. And other than that,